the Teen Talks Kitten podcast, where I embarrass myself. Hello, and welcome to episode number 131 of the Teen Talks Kitten podcast. My name is Van Gogh. I hope you guys are doing very, very, very well. It is so extraordinarily hot where I currently am. So hot that ice would definitely melt, and ice drink would not survive in these temperatures. I hope you guys are all doing very well. Of course, the day that this episode is being released, published into the world, it is August, which is absolutely crazy to me because I feel like we were just in February, we were just at the Olympics, we were just at Worlds in March, and now we're already in August. And of course, August means that figure skating is happening very, very, very soon, and I am super duper, duper duper excited. But yeah, I mean, it's August, and that's absolutely crazy. Okay, guys, I swear I will fix the music soon. I won't procrastinate. Honestly, I need to write it down because I see it every time I record, but I forget to write it down. I will eventually fix the music. I hope. But yeah, I hope you guys are doing very well. I mean, I've been okay, I guess. Oh, I'm supposed to say the whole like follow, share, like spiel. Like, yeah, do that. Follow, share, like Tina Sking podcast so that people will listen and stuff. I don't know. Yeah, it's hot music, share, like, follow, la la la. What else is there? Who really knows? Oh my gosh. It's just, I keep on thinking about how hot it is and how much I want to drink water all the time. It's like, I mean, I feel hydrated, but like, oh my god, it's so hot. It does not cool down your body, guys. But anyway, let's head over to our program of the week, okay? Let's like stop with the chit chat. Program of the week, okay? Program of the week. Okay, program of the week. I honestly feel like in figure skating, there's programs that get lost, if that makes sense. I mean, there's programs that skaters are like absolutely known for. Everyone knows and loves a certain program from a certain skater. They skated it for like a whole season, or maybe they skated it for 2 seasons, and it was just super popular. It became like a cult classic of a program. And then there's programs that a skater only performs so few times that it kind of became lost forever. This is one of those programs. This is Karen Chen and her 2024 Continents Free Skate. The music is The Ovation from Slow Dancing in the Big City by Bill Conti, which this program is choreographed by Karen Chen herself and Ilona Melichenko, who's Andrew Torgashev's mom apparently. But Karen Chen, this program, she only performed it 3 times ever. 2017 Skate Canada, 2020 US Nationals, and then 2024 Continents. So it was a program she brought back to skate only twice more. But this program, I don't know why she didn't skate it more because it's so beautiful. I think it perfectly accentuates her qualities. I mean, Karen Chen is a performer. The beginning of this program is very kind of fast, loud, exciting movie theatrical kind of music, and it's just the drama of it. She does look quite, I don't know, like tense in a good way, and in her extensions and her facial expressions, and she's serious. She's not like letting go into the freedom that is like the towards the end of the free skate. And so this tense, this inwardness of her character is just, it's really great. She has these super duper quick crossovers into a beautiful triplet, and then like less than 10 seconds after the triplet, it's a double axle triple toe loop, and she just gets so much distance on the double axle and so much height on the triple toe loop. It's beautiful. She also does a flip and then a loop, I believe, and then she heads into her first spin, which is a combo spin. Wondrous, wondrous. Though I think after that she does the step sequence, and I feel like the step sequence is just stunning. The music becomes a lot more calming, a lot more quiet. And, for a moment, she just seems so innocent. She's not blossomed into, again, that freedom at the end of the free skate. And she's so inward in her character. And in the step sequence, there's this moment where she does a skid stop towards the judges, and she has her arm raised up in this look of like agony. I don't know. It's so beautiful. Lots of intricate steps and twizzles here and there. There's a moment where she's moving backwards, and she does this mini backwards spiral, and her hand just almost grazes the ice, and it's such a calm step sequence. And then after the step sequence, it heads into the big theme of the movie, which is beautiful. Triple Lutz, Euler Salchow is great, double axel, triple loop, double toe loop, and then you can just see how happy she is on her face after that last jumping pass. Heads into a beautiful spin, but of course, the best part of any Karen Chan program is the choreo sequence because she does the most magnificent spiral and she just can't help but smile. And it's so free. This music is so loud at the end. It feels like flying, and she's just flying in that spiral so free, so open, so inside of the world. So just showing who she is. She does a beautiful kind of forward Ina Bauer moment, then she does a cool split jump in the right in the middle of the ice, twizzles into a just her iconic layback spin. One of the best layback spins like I think we'll ever see in figure skating. Just so good. And I don't know, the transitions of the program from fast to slow to fast, but so free at the end. It's just I love it. I love this program. I don't know why she only performed it 3 times. It's such a good program. I wish she skated it more, but gosh, she's such a great performer. So go ahead, check it out after you listen to this episode. Karen Chan, her 2024 Continents Figure Skating Championships free skate to Slow Dancing in the Big City by Bill Conti, choreographed by herself and Ilona Melichenko. Now let's head over to our main episode. That was your program of the week. All right, everybody, after that very glamorous review of Karen Chen's program, it's time for the main episode. This is honestly one of those episodes where it's like, what do I record this week when there's like nothing in the figure skating world to discuss? And this is one of those ideas that I've been keeping in my mind on my little notes page for a long time. I just haven't had really the time or like the proper thought process to think about it. But this episode is all about retirement, which is kind of strange because obviously I usually just talk about competitions and stuff. But one of the really interesting things to me, because I'm just weird like that, is what skaters do after they retire. Because, one day it's going to be your last skate, the lights are going to turn off, it's your last podium, your last competition, the last jump you'll ever do in competition, the last time you'll hear music in competition, things like that. I mean, what do skaters do after they retire? Especially after this Olympic season. This past Olympic season, we've had so many different people announce their retirements. Kari Sakamoto, for example, Miura Kihara announced their retirements. Chalk and Bates are most likely retired. In the men's side, I feel like so many men are still skating. Yeah, but just so many retirements after the Olympic season. I mean, what do skaters do? I mean, we it's not like they like disappear from the earth entirely. Like we have to have, they have to have something to do after this, very glamorous career they have on the ice. What do they do after that? What do they do in their lives after that? Skaters are not, skating forever competitively. Skaters are not always going to be going to the Olympics every single year, going to Worlds every single year, competing in all the Grand Prix, things like that. Just because injury is a big thing, age is a big thing, and especially in figure skating, I feel like tends to be a lot more seriously injury prone, if that makes sense, than a lot of other sports. And quite often there's a younger age to retire than most other sports, which is, due a bunch of different factors that have this physical toll on a skater. And so, very often they decide to retire because of injury, because of age, because they just don't really feel like skating anymore for their own body, for the sake of their health, their future, etc. But what do they do? Genuinely, what do they do after that? So that's kind of what this episode is about. So kind of a weird episode, I guess, kind of a different abstract kind of episode, but I genuinely did not know what to talk about. So this is here we are, here we are. I'm gonna talk about retirement today, why people retire, why retirement is like financially a good choice sometimes in figure skating, and then all of the different options that people kind of go through as they retire, like the different things that they do in their lives, the different this, the different that, whether they continue to stay involved in figure skating or not, and everything. But yeah, just an interesting topic to me personally because, we see all these retirements happening after every season, and it's like, okay, like, what are you doing now? Like, is that it? Like, I want to know what these people are doing because I'm just so obsessed and I'm so like amazed by like their prowess and how awesome they are. So I want to know what they're doing in life. But yeah, reasons for retirement, like I mentioned a bit earlier, injury I feel like is quite often one of the biggest reasons for retirement, unfortunately, especially career ending injuries. So many skaters just get injuries that are just going to be so difficult to recover from. They require lots of surgeries. The doctors, I feel like we hear often doctors tell them, you're never going to be able to skate again. You're never going to be on the ice again. You're not going to compete again. Career ending injuries happen and they are just the absolute worst because it could be a matter of just one bad fall on the ice, one bad mistake on a lift or something, and your whole career is over. Your career that you've spent years on, maybe a decade on, is over because it's just one bad landing, one bad incident on the ice. And so these career ending injuries are so, 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 so devastating. And I would like to point out, especially when you're like a promising young star and you've just gotten your start in the sport and then you have a huge injury that just really hinders your progress. Obviously, not every injury is career ending. Some injuries just take a skater out for a couple competitions or maybe a whole season. God forbid, obviously, but some injuries just end up being really serious. Some examples: Carolina Kostner, who was quite injured for a while after 2018 Olympics and 2018 Worlds. She like had said, yeah, I'm gonna keep on competing in 2019 to 2019, things like that. She never unfortunately made it because of a lot of injuries, surgery, things like that. And now she has never made an official retirement announcement, but she has retired. Basically, she's coaching now. Another big one to me this past season was Ava Marie Ziegler because oh my gosh, I'm still so devastated about Ava Marie Ziegler. I will never forget Ava Marie Ziegler because she was so so promising back in what year was that? 2023 to 2024 it was? 2023 to 2024. Or was it 2024 to 2025? No, it was 2024 to 2025. She was so 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 good in 2024. Is it? Am I actually like am I remembering correctly? Anyway, whatever season she was super good at, and she won NHK Trophy in, I believe it's 2024. Avery Ziegler, super young, American, like she had so much potential. Her jumps were so good. The triple lutz was on the right edge. The triple flip was on the right edge. She had huge jumps. She had huge Julie, huge everything, great presence, great artistry, great everything. Avery Ziegler, I will never forget. And then she got injured, unfortunately, after the 2024-2025 season, had a few surgeries, tried to make a comeback in 2025 to 2026, and just unfortunately, like, just didn't really get the scores, didn't really get the consistency back, didn't really get all the jumps back. And like, that kind of situation is like where she tried to make a comeback and like it just didn't work out. It just broke my heart. I mean, Ava Marie Ziegler, I will never forget. But yeah, injury is one of the biggest reasons that someone might retire. And it's an unfortunate reason, obviously, because it's not really on someone's own terms. It's just the injury they had. It's just so debilitating that they can't continue to skate, and that's just a devastating part of this sport. Okay. So injury is one common reason. Another kind of common thing I think is just like that whole idea of like my heart really isn't in it anymore, or like I don't really feel a thing for skating anymore, or I don't feel a huge passion for the sport anymore. This is a really big one. If you remember Alyssa Liu, who is skating now, but back in the day when she was only 16, she had just won a bronze medal at Worlds, and she announced her retirement a few months after, with a pretty long Instagram post kind of saying, yeah, I mean, I'm done with skating. I just feel like I've given all my life to skating. I don't really want to do it anymore. I want to pursue a different path in life. I want to do some other things. I want to live a different life. I don't want to be a skater anymore. And that's a really common reason. And I do think that is sometimes a good choice. I mean, genuinely, like, it's better to end off on your own terms. It's always better to end off feeling happy with what you did and just choosing what's best for yourself. I feel like, and in figure skating, that is such a big thing. Like, how much of yourself can you really commit to traveling around the world for all these competitions, to the countless hours of training on the ice, to the financial burden of figure skating? How much of that can you really commit to everything? And if you just don't feel 100% about it, I feel like that's the thing, is like, well, that's okay. And then you kind of just you leave because you want to leave. And I think that's like a better option than just keep on skating even if your heart's not in it, even if you aren't satisfied with the sport anymore. Because at the end of the day, skating is a sport for people to express themselves and to be themselves. And if someone doesn't enjoy it, why not stop? So that was Alyssa Liu when she was 16. I feel like that was the main gist of her message, which at the time, side note, was quite shocking. I feel like to a lot of people, including myself. I was like, "What? Alyssa Liu's retiring at 16?" But obviously, she came back, which we will talk about later. Is comebacks and retirements. Anywho, a lot of skaters also, I feel like, want to end at a perfect moment or a big high in their career rather than a low. I guess Alyssa would also be a good example for this. She ended off her career after going to the Olympics, placing top 10 there, and then going to Worlds and getting a bronze medal there. I mean, that's a pretty successful way to end off your career. That's a pretty successful way to end off, be satisfied. You would rather end off with this high, this victory, this achievement, rather than ending off with some, oh, injury happened, things like that. You would rather end off when you're at your best, and I think that's a great thing to do. End off when you're at your best. I think this is really the reason why a lot of skaters retire after the Olympics. I mean, if you think about the Olympics are like the biggest goal of any figure skater's career, it's not even sometimes winning the Olympics, it's sometimes just being at the Olympics, qualifying to the Olympics, which is so, so difficult in this sport. And so many skaters retire after the Olympics. Many skaters decide, well, I did my best, I reached my high, I went to the Olympics just like I wanted. And there you go. That's it. I mean, you're done, and that's the best thing you can do. I mean, obviously, I can't imagine ever going to the Olympics because I would never ever make it. But I mean, if I went to the Olympics just once and even placed last place in the short program and didn't qualify to free skate, I would still consider that a victory. And maybe I just retire right after, and like, I'm so grateful that I got the chance to go to the Olympics, represent my country, things like that. And I think that's just a big reason why. I mean, the Olympics are the goal that you've been fighting for the last 4 years, for your entire skating career. And once you make it, I think that you're good. Maybe once, maybe it's twice, maybe it's three times, and you just say, yeah, I mean, that's it. That was it. And I think that's a great thing to do, is just retire at that big high. Another kind of famous, infamous moment in figure skating of this kind of concept is Sarah Meyer, who won the 2011 Europeans in Switzerland, in the country that she represented, in her home country. And she decided to end off her career. I believe she said it was like a storybook, the perfect ending to a fairy tale or something like that. Sarah Meyer winning at home, Europeans in Switzerland, was just the perfect moment for her to retire. And so I think some skiers just really want to choose a big moment to retire at rather than kind of a low moment. Maybe Yuna Kim as well is a really great example. Yuna retired after the 2014 Olympics. She won the silver there, though it should have been gold. It should have been gold. It should have been gold. But Yuna Kim decided to retire after that, obviously after the high of a second Olympics. And it was a decision to make. Yeah, so those are, in my opinion, the main reasons for retirement. I do think one factor that is kind of one of the main factors in influencing retirement, or at least like quickening maybe the decision to make a retirement, is the financial side of figure skating. Unfortunately, as I mentioned before, the money in this sport, the support in this sport from federations, etc., is just not the best. And I do wonder how many skaters with so much great potential, especially younger skaters, younger generations, juniors, things like that, maybe below juniors and novice and whatnot, like how many of them choose to stop skating, choose to retire extremely early in their careers simply because they don't have the financial support, simply because they don't have the funds to fund their training, to fund their experience in this really, really expensive sport. Where I mean, some people skate, 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 skate. Arthur Liu, Alyssa Liu's dad, estimated that he had spent $1 million on his daughter's career, on one child, on his one child's career. And Alyssa Liu is only 90, or 20, and that's absolutely crazy. So yeah, I mean, money is obviously a huge issue in this sport. There is like raw talent, but I mean, coaches cost money, ice time costs money, this costs money, traveling costs money, being part of the federation, paying your dues and paying your fees costs so much money. And so financial struggles are just unfortunately just a big reality of the sport. Many skaters are retiring, probably like. I'm not they probably aren't retiring just because of the cost of the sport, but I would say it's probably one of those big factors in like, okay, I can't continue. I got injured. Surgery just costs a lot of money. Recovery is going to cost a lot of time and money, and it's just not going to work out. And there is not a lot of prize money either. I've mentioned this many times before in other episodes, but no skater is living off just their prize money. There's no way. I mean, winning worlds, I don't even know how much money worlds is, but it's not in the millions. I don't know, some people in other sports are being paid millions a year. Salaries are just in the millions because they're just such high entertainment value, assets, whatnot. And that's just not the thing in figure skating. Some skaters make more money like teaching younger kids or different levels of skating rather than actually going around and skating. There is so little prize money in the sport. Sponsors, of course, are a huge help, but not every skater is getting sponsors. Not every skater is winning all the competitions. Not every skater is able to have the financial opportunity. Not every skater has the support of a huge federation behind them. A big federation like U.S. Figure Skating might be able to give their skaters some more money compared to a smaller federation from a smaller country with not as much skating infrastructure. And so that must be a huge reason why as well. What was I gonna say the other thing? I mean, we've seen so many things, I feel like, on the internet about, oh, so and so is doing a GoFundMe, so and so has a fundraiser to fund their skating. I mean, it's such a struggle. It's clearly such a struggle to have money in this sport that, so many of these skaters are doing it out of their pure raw passion while, sacrificing their financial side. Skaters whose parents like mortgage their home, skaters whose parents do work a few jobs to fund their skating. I mean, I do wonder how many skaters could have made it. How many skaters have so much potential, but just money wasn't optimal. It's just such an expensive sport, and maybe deciding to retire, deciding to stop skating, is just a better option eventually because money is finite and money just runs out, and money is an evil thing that has to run the world. And unfortunately, money is maybe something that, ruins skating careers. Money is something that ruins people's potential. Not ruins their potential, but prevents them from really reaching all that potential and maybe becoming the next big stars of the sport. It's always one of those what ifs that is just so serious and so, I don't know, so real, if that makes sense. It's like a what if I had more money and I could continue skating. And that's devastating. And that's definitely a part of the sport that we need to be talking about as a community, the ISU needs to be talking about, that the athletes need to be talking about. But yeah, I mean, I've made a whole episode about the financials of figure skating, which was episode 124, which was not that long ago. So if you want to check that out, go ahead. But yeah, financials of figure skating. All right, so let's say you retire. I'm done with skating. Thank you so much to all the coaches I've ever had. Thank you so much to all the friends I've made. Thank you to my parents and my family for supporting me. Thank you to all the fans for watching me over the years and the stuffed animals and all the amazing opportunities. I mean, retirement posts are like, ugh, I hate reading retirement posts. Some of them are actually emotional, some of them are kind of funny sometimes, but some of them are actually emotional. And you're saying goodbye to this sport that was part of you for 10, 15, 20 years maybe. And yeah, you say goodbye, and what happens after that? You've decided to retire. What happens after that? So the rest of this episode is kind of about the different paths that different figure skaters have taken, what opportunities there are in terms of like the normal people world and then the skating world. I don't know if that exists. The normal people world versus the skating world. I guess just like the non-skating world. Like where do you fit in the non-skating world? But yeah, you've decided to retire. Maybe you are 18, maybe you are 30, maybe you are 35, maybe you're 24. Depending on where you are in life, where are you gonna do? Where are you gonna go? What are you gonna do with your life? All right. Some people, pursue a normal people job, which I think is so, so understandable because if you've devoted, 20 years of your life to figure skating, I'm sure some people are just like, no, I don't want to be involved in skating. Like, I just really want to do something different with my life. Maybe you just gotten bored, or maybe you just like don't want to get into coaching, choreography, things like that. Or you just want to make it a hobby and not make it your entire career. You want to make it something smaller, not something so big in your life. And so pursuing a normal people job, and I mean normal in like quotes, like in quotation marks, because like these are just like jobs. Some skaters go back to school slash continue school. I mean, genuinely, some skaters like forego going to university for a bit to go continue their skating. Some skaters like go to school during their skating, and then after they get out, they become like a full time student. Nathan Chen is one really famous example of this. I believe he went to Harvard, or was it Yale, or was it, one of those schools, one of those Ivy Leagues, because it's Nathan Chen. He's just too awesome. But Nathan Chen famously I think he went to Harvard, but I believe it was the 2018 to 2019 season that he was going to Harvard, and he literally had to schedule like his like classes and everything around his competitions, and there were some like coincidences with, oh, I can attend these competitions and I don't have to go to school on these dates, stuff like that. Um, Things like that happen like all the time, right? And I mean, you're in school, oh my gosh, what is going on with the fireworks, neighbors? I mean, you're in school, you're skating, but you're also studying, you're also doing tests and exams and labs and all these things, and you're still trying to become one of the world's best figure skaters in your quote unquote free time, which isn't really free time because do you really have free time with you? And so just huge like props to anyone who like goes to school while they're skating and still is trying to become like one of the best. Like that's crazy. But that's one example. I believe Nathan Chen. What is going on? I believe Nathan Chen is going to medical school now, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Same thing with the unofficial two Chens, Karen Chen, who I mentioned earlier, of course. Karen Chen famously went to Cornell. She was skating at her time there, and then during the time she was skating, she took a break, and then after she kind of retired, she went back to Cornell. I believe now she's going into medical school as well, which is awesome. What was I gonna mention about Karen Chen? I think that was it. I don't know. But yeah, again, I mean, I think going back to school is like a big thing. You want a different job, a different degree is gonna get there. I mean, figure skating is not gonna be part of your life forever. That's what you decide and that's what you want. And that's the choice. And that's great. All right. You might just, after that, you go to school, la la la. You also might go to work. There's been doctors like Debbie Thomas. There's people who get normal people jobs. I believe Sarah Hughes works as like some associate or something. Sasha Cohen got like a law degree or something. Things like that. I mean, there's plenty of different opportunities. There's plenty of different opportunities to be going to work, be going to here, be going there. And you just get a normal people job and you kind of stay maybe away from skating, or you make it less of a big thing in your life and you kind of just prioritize other things. You might start a family, which is a big thing. Some skaters leave skating because they want to start a family, because they want to have a different future for themselves. And that's a big thing. And you kind of integrate into the normal people world, and maybe we don't hear like a ton from you anymore and things like that. All right, and then the last example of not even a normal field job, because what the heck is this? But Michelle Kwan, Michelle Kwan, 5-time world champion, like 8-time US champion, Michelle Kwan. Tell me why Michelle Kwan became the US ambassador to Belize. I'm still in shock. I'm still in shock by this news because Michelle Kwan, I mean, all the power to her. But I'm like, what a random job to get, U.S. ambassador to Belize. I mean, okay. I mean, Michelle Kwan, we love you. We got you. But yeah, I guess that is really the normal people job in quotation marks. Is that really a normal people job, Michelle Kwan? But yeah, Michelle Kwan shocks me every time I hear this. You know, great figure skater, great everything. Won 2 Olympic medals, and she was also the U.S. ambassador to Belize, like serving our country well. All right. But yeah, those are kind of the normal people jobs, if you will. But let's say you do want to get involved still. You still want to stay within the skating world and you love the sport so much, you have such a passion for this sport, you stayed in the sport for so long, obviously, but you've stopped competing because of all the reasons I mentioned earlier, but you still want to stay involved. And so that's really when you get the skaters who go into all these other opportunities within the figure skating world that are kind of besides competing internationally and having to travel around and having to train constantly and having to do this and do that. And one of those options is doing ice shows. I mean, there are so many different ice shows, Stars on Ice during the summer, and there are also tons and tons and tons of other opportunities. Disney on Ice is a great example. Um, Lots of cruise ships want ice shows, different ice skating, figure skating opportunities, and some skaters transition into ice shows. They use what they know from skating, from competitive skating, to perform for huge crowds and perform for people and entertain people. And I know for sure you probably make more money from ice shows than you make from competition. So definitely you get more income. Obviously, a lot of skaters do ice shows and training at the same time. For example, the entire U.S. National Olympic team just went for the Stars on Ice tour, and I'm sure they were also training at the same time. But Stars on Ice really helps supplement their funds for their skating, gets them some more income for a period. Again, I'm sure no one is making their entire career ice shows because there's just not enough of them, and they're definitely not super duper duper profitable, and gives all the money to the skaters and everything. But it is certainly something to do to fund people, and even after you retire you can continue skating at ice shows. Some skiers did that for a very long time. Kurt Browning, Scott Hamilton, a couple other skiers did that for a long time. All right. Those are ice shows. La 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 la. Okay, being involved as a coach slash choreographer. So many skiers, end their skating careers and then they go into coaching or choreographing, or they go into physical therapy, or they go into different roles within skating that are still super important to skating. Um, yeah, that are still super important to skating. What would be a great example? Brian Orser, I feel like, is a great example. Brian Orser was a super, super successful, great skater himself. I believe he was a two-time Olympic silver medalist for Team Canada. And after his career, he began coaching. And I mean, he has coached so many famous skaters. Kim, he coached. Yuju Hanyu, he coached. Ekaterina Khodokova, he coached. And now he's coaching a few other skaters here and there, but Brian Oyster is super well known. Oh, Juwan Cha, he coached. Brian Oyster, made his transition from skating himself into the coaching side of things, coaching in Canada. And so, one way to stay involved, you're still at the ice rink, you're just on the boards, on the side, you're still going to kiss and cry, you're just sitting next to your skater instead. And what better way to contribute back to the skating sport than just to train a new student, train them in the art and the technique of figure skating, and make them a champion like you were yourself as well. All right, coaching is a big thing. Choreography is a big thing. Some choreographers cannot say that word. Some choreographers just like make so much money from figure skating, it seems, because I there's so many skaters who get their programs done by these skaters or these choreographers. Laurie Nichols, Shailene Bourne, Benoit Richaud, Mary France Dubois. I mean, so many of these choreographers are just getting skaters like, yes, yes, I want my program choreographed by you. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. And they must charge a hefty amount because some skaters have to end up choreographing their own programs because it's just so dang expensive. And so, surely, there is a huge price for these kinds of things. There's a huge price for choreographing. But, in recent memory, one skater, for example, who has made her transition into both coaching and choreography is Carolina Costner, who I mentioned earlier. After 2018, she stopped competing and she started going into coaching and choreography. She was coaching some younger skaters, and then she ended up on the coaching team of Yuma Kageyama, which is super huge, and she helps choreograph his programs as well. Nicole Schott of Germany, I can think of. She transitioned into doing coaching things after 2023, I believe, and then she started going into the coaching side, the choreography side. Lori Nickel is very famous. Lori Nickel, I believe she was an ice dancer for Canada back in the day, the 70s or the 80s, I believe, for Lori Nickel, and now she's one of the most famous choreographers in the world. Shaylin Bourne was once a ice dancer herself. She's an Olympian herself with Victor Kratz. And a couple other choreographers are super famous. Marie-France Dubreuil obviously was an ice dancer. And I feel like that it does tend to be maybe the general trend, maybe, is that a lot of ice dancers maybe tend to go more into choreography because maybe ice dance lends itself to the artistic side of the sport more than the other disciplines. But yeah, a lot of skaters tend to go there. And I mean, you don't need to be the next Brian Oyster and Coach Zhu Hanyu to continue coaching after skating. You don't have to be training the elite level skaters. I mean, many retired skaters go on to teach kids, go on to teach the youth, the new upcoming generations of figure skating, and that's great. Mariah Agassi has been posting a lot about kids. I know Caroline Jang and Grant Hochstein are both really into their own coaching team and helping like new kids win competitions, everything. And so yeah, I think the elite level competition and the training, and you work with coaches when you're a skater yourself every day. You go to get your programs choreographed every summer, every off season. And so that kind of exposure helps prepare you for being a coach or a choreographer and or a choreographer yourself. Maybe it's not everything, but I'm sure it's one of those things where like experience helps a lot. All right, next up is kind of a small category, but some skaters go into commentary after they're skating. I mean, so many skaters or so many commentators do commentary on figure skating now. Tara Lipinski and Johnny Ware in the US were obviously both skaters themselves. Tara Lipinski was the 1998 the 1998 Olympic champion. Johnny Ware medaled at Worlds. He went to two Olympics. He was super duper popular during his time skating competitively. They were both skaters themselves and also pretty much media personalities now. I feel like they're involved in a bunch of other random things in the world, lots of other reality show, entertainment things for Tara Lipinski and Johnny Ware. So they've obviously used their skating platform to expand into other branches, other avenues as well. We have commentators like Belinda Noonan of Australia, who was once a skater herself. And after her retirement, she has been providing awesome, awesome, awesome commentary for Australia and for the Olympics as well. She has such great commentary. I think she's been doing it, gosh, since the 1998 Olympics, maybe. Mark Henretti and his partner Ted Barton are the commentators on the Junior Grand Prix. Mark Henretti was an ice dancer himself, and Ted Barton was a men's singles skater. And both of them are able to provide a lot of commentary in the sport. And kind of, it gives you a lot of expertise into the sport if you were a skater yourself. I mean, you'll hear when you watch many times, Mark Henretti and Ted Barton, for example, where they kind of talk about the technique of things. They know about controlling your speed, controlling your axis, choreography. They know a lot of those things. They know about communication between pairs and ice dance partners, things like that. So it surely gives you a lot of expertise into the sport if you were a skater yourself to be able to provide that critical commentary. And I mean, I feel like you can tell when a commentator has their research done, really knows the sport, and I think those tend to be the ones that have skated themselves and who have put in a lot of effort to research every skater, give something positive and negative, constructive criticism. And I love that kind of commentary. All right, along the same side as commentary is kind of influencing slash social mediaing. Adam Rippon and Ashley Wagner are really great examples of this. Adam Rippon was a 2018 Olympian, bronze medalist in the team event. Ashley Wagner was a 2014 Olympian, silver medalist in the team event. Both of them have a ton of other achievements as well. But obviously, they started their podcast, which is called The Run Through, with not Olympic champion Syracuse, and they have a bunch of other media escapades, if you will. Adam Rippon started his own podcast, and both of them are involved in commentary for the U.S. as well. Another skater is Paulina Edmonds, who was a 2014 Olympian. Paulina Edmonds has her own account, her own podcast for reviewing competitions called the Iron Butterfly, I believe. And then she also has kind of her own account where she posts a lot of like coaching tips, a lot of steps, a lot of how to do this, twizzles, things like that for Paulina Edmonds. So yeah, I mean those are kind of, staying involved in the media side of things. Yeah, and I mean I can't really think of any other super major paths that skaters take. You either go get a normal people job, I feel like, or like a real world job, you stay involved in skating through coaching choreography, or you become commentating, you get into the maybe the structure of the sport. Maybe some skaters also choose to get into the politics of the sport, leading their respective federations. um what was her name? I can't remember. Natalie Pestalot. It was an ice dancer for France, and then she became the president of the French Figure Skating Federation. Things like that. Get into the sport as well. Going into like the structures, the administration of the sport, which and working with the ISU obviously as well. But yeah, those tend to be the main paths. And so the question to me after that is, what is the potential for comebacks? Because many times a skater says, I'm done, I'm retiring, I'm leaving, I'm so done. But then they actually announce that, hey, I'm actually gonna come back to skating actually. One famous example in recent memory is Alyssa Liu, obviously, as I mentioned earlier. She retired at the age of 16, and then she decided to announce about 3 ish years later, like, hey, I'm coming back to skating, obviously. And then she ended up becoming world champion and Olympic champion, which is absolutely crazy to me. And so she's a really famous example of a skater who retired and then they said they were going to come back to skating. Another example of a skater who had a crazy story is Diana Slata Dudek, who was a very successful successful junior single skater. Then she retired for 15 years or something, and then she came back to skate in pairs, and then she became world champion in 2024 for Team Canada with Maxime Deschamps, which is a huge, different, crazy career trajectory. Daisuke Takahashi was an example of a skater who retired, came back to men's singles, and then he soon switched to ice dance, and so sometimes you retire to come back to a new discipline as well. Marin Honda and Shoma Uno just announced that they're being ice dance partners now. They were both formerly single skaters for Team Japan, and they will be ice dancers now, which is crazy, which is really cool. In fact, I feel like the transition to ice dance might be like this new trend for a lot of single skaters. Emilia Zingas, for example, was a single skater and then she transitioned to ice dance to skate with Vadim Kolesnik. I mean, there's tons of other examples of skaters who were in singles, went to ice dance, singles, went to ice dance, things like that. Some of them retire in between, some of them maybe don't. I think that's for a lot of reasons. You already have the base of skating in the sport. Ice dance is focused more on the artistry and the skating skills, and there's not all these like huge, heavy pressuring jumps on your body and things like that. But yeah. So then, like, what are the factors in coming back? I think the main thing, obviously, is like, do you actually want to come back, or are you being forced to come back? Which hopefully not. Do you have the motivation to come back on your own terms? Deanna Slaughter Dudek has that really inspiring story of her pulling a card like a conference at a retreat, and she realized that she wanted to become Olympic champion. She wanted to get back into figure skating. So I think the motivation is the number one thing. Number two, obviously, I feel like it's the physical side. Is your body? Can you get your body? Is your body ready to go back to skating? Can your body go back to skating? Things like that is really important to consider. Are you too injured to do so? Will you harm your body if you choose to? And then financially as well. I mean, a lot of the reasons of going into skating are a lot of the reasons of going back to skating as well. And kind of similar, like a lot of the reasons for leaving skating become the opposites of the reasons to come back into figure skating. Do you have the body for it? Do you have the motivation now? Do you want to go back? Do you actually truly want to go back into the sport after some years off, some time off? But yeah, I think the comeback is such an interesting thing. Some skaters make a big comeback. Some skaters really make a splash. Alyssa Liu, I mean, I can't like keep stop talking about how crazy this story is. I made a whole episode on it, of course. I believe in March or April of this year, but a skater who retired on her own terms, had fallen out of love with skating, had fallen out of interest in the sport, and then she came back on her own terms. She came back out of her very own interests and want to do that. And she physically could do it, and she mentally could do it, and she had the right resources and the people around her. And yeah, if you have the support, the motivation, the money, everything, um, the physical side of things, I think coming back is such a special moment. Coming back to devote your life to the sport once again, coming back to define yourself once again in skating, coming back to be who you want to be in skating. And I think that's even more, and bringing on that maturity and the development you've had during your time off, and really coming back on your own terms. I think it's a beautiful thing. I love comebacks. I think comebacks are just so, so inspirational, and, definitely not so different in skating. But yeah, overall, I think what skaters do after retirement is super interesting. Life is so big and so full of opportunities for so many of these skaters that, figure skating is often such a small part of their lives, and just a small part. It might be a huge part of what we remember them for, but it's ultimately a small part of their lives as they head into other jobs, into coaching, choreography, to commentary, to other paths within the sport or not in the sport. And so I truly do think it's super interesting to like keep like what's happening. Are they still skating? Do they have kids? Do they have families? It's so interesting to me that these people we see on TV are actually human beings sometimes. But yeah, that's everything for this week's episode of a Chance Skating podcast. I hope you enjoyed me ranting for like 40 minutes about retirement, the reasons for retirement, what skaters even do after retirement, because it's truly an interesting topic to me. Next week, I'm very excited to have kind of a episode to open up the season, a preview of all these major storylines that keep developing as we head into the season, kind of everything you need to know, whether you are a new fan or a seasoned veteran. And so it's going to be really super duper interesting to see this next Olympic cycle open up, this next season, post Olympic season open up, as we head into this renaissance of figure skating, as I like to call the post Olympic season. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to this episode of a Teen Talk Skating podcast. My name's Ango. I will hear from you guys next week, and bye bye.